Hello, America. I was born in 1964. I remember watching TV when I was growing up. I remember watching shows like My Three Sons. Do you remember that? The Partridge Family, Wild Wild West. I remember watching Laugh-In. Laugh-In was probably the closest I ever got my family of being a hippie. And Laugh-In had Don Rickles, so I mean, that's as close. My sister kind of was, she was older. She was all flower power there for a while. I remember the Carole King Tapestry album. That was radical. It was about as radical as we got in our house. Americans saw all of these images and saw a lot of these just hippie clowns, and we were turned off. And so we tuned out. Until recently, I thought these people had grown up, grown past it, and just look back at these times and go, what a joke, man. What were we thinking? I especially didn't think people that, like the Weather Underground, I didn't think that those people were still thinking about violence. I've been trying to figure out what this president has been doing since the first day in office. And last night we started to lay out his next move. And we are entering very dangerous times. Last night, if you watched the show, and if you haven't seen it yet, you need to go back and watch it. Last night I was standing at this chalkboard, and I was going to show you quotes from the revolutionaries around the president now, next to the revolutionaries of the first American Revolution. And I say the first American Revolution because I think the second is right now. They're just calling it by a different name. They're calling it fundamental transformation. The largest entitlement of our generation, the largest entitlement ever. Healthcare, the first giant step in a much bigger agenda. So I was standing there looking at that board, and I was thinking to myself, where is the George Washington of our day? Where are the people like Samuel Adams or John Adams? Where are the great thinkers like Benjamin Franklin or Thomas Jefferson? Where are they? And I was in the break, the commercial break, and it hit me. These guys were wild thinkers, but they were also revolutionaries. I mean, they actually thought about the things like, how do we fight the British? How do we overthrow the government? I mean, I've never thought about revolution. I've never thought about armed insurrection or bombing or anything like that. And then I looked at the other side of the board and I realized, wow, the people around the president have. Not only have they thought about it, many of them have plotted it. Some of them were actually engaged in bomb throwing. Bill Ayers and Jeff Jones, they were running around blowing stuff up. Have you? And these guys didn't, you know, it's not because everybody believes in forgiveness. No, no, no. Bill Ayers told Alan Colmes that blowing stuff up, he doesn't regret it.
But do you regret setting bomb?
I don't regret anything I did to oppose the war. Anything I did to oppose the war, I don't regret.
You wouldn't regret setting a bomb at a police station or setting a bomb at the Pentagon or the Capitol?
You know, I don't look back on those things and regret them.
Okay? I want to show you who the president surrounds himself with. Just a few of the people that he surrounds himself with. These people. They are the who's who of the Overthrow America movement in the 1960s. I mean, here's his new spiritual advisor. Here's Jeff Jones. There's Bill Ayers. Weather Underground. I don't remember which Rathke. It's Dale and Wade Rathke and Andy Stern from SEIU and Cloward and Piven. He's got more. I mean, Robert Creamer went to prison because he felt it was okay to steal for social justice. And then he crafted this health care bill, you know, on how to sell it, how to move things while behind bars. There's Mark Lloyd, there's Cass Sunstein, there's Ron Bloom. The most frequent visitor to the White House was SEIU's Andy Stern. This guy was a member of the radical group SDS. Do you remember this? Tree of Revolution? SDS. SDS, Students for a Democratic Society. This is where the other Weather Underground came out of. And Cloward and Piven came in and said, no, no, no. Collapse the system financially, and that's where we got this. Got it? SDS, really bad stuff. But so was Jim Wallace, the spiritual advisor here of President Obama. They were in the 1960s revolution. Now, maybe you forgot what happened to the 1960s radicals and their Marxist efforts. They lost. They lost big time, completely crushed, humiliated. They became a punchline. You're right, dude. Rock on. But how were they crushed? Who crushed them? This is the average family in the 1960s. And we were, I mean, you know, we were still coming out of the Leave It to Beaver years, where we still were relatively decent people, I think. And up here, I mean, we had these two clowns. And these people, this is our general society. Hippies like Bill Ayers ran around tossing bombs at everything. And at some point they realized the tactic isn't going to change anything. They realized they didn't have any power. See, Cloward and Piven said, collapse the system. Get inside. Infect the system. Destroy it from the inside out. Get a hold of as much power as you can get and get as many people on welfare as possible and collapse the system. But the key ingredient was to have a structure in place so that when it all comes tumbling down, there's something for it to collapse into. So what's the structure? What did they learn? They learned some really important lessons. They learned that the man was keeping them down. Remember that? It's the man. You remember all of these stupid people protesting the man in Washington? All the marches, all the things that they did? Well, there was kind of a line here. Because Americans don't like radicals. Americans don't like terrorists. Americans don't like dope-smoking hippies. They don't like people who are dangerous. We don't like that. That's not the way we do things. We do things through elections. We do things through elections. So what they learned was, don't fight the man. Become the man. These are all radicals that in one way or another have influence either directly or indirectly with the President of the United States. They have become the man. Now, Van Jones, where is he, the radical? Here, Van Jones, he summed it up this way. Watch this. He said, I'm willing to forego the cheap satisfaction of the radical pose for the deep satisfaction of the radical ends. The goals haven't changed, but the tactic has. So if we drop the radical pose and stop dressing like hippies and we put ties on, all of a sudden we're respectable. Stop throwing bombs. Stop smoking dope. Stop picketing, shouting things. No one listens. They learned this while they were plotting revolutions, many of them. So let me ask you this question. How many times have you plotted a revolution? How many times have you and your friends thought, hey, we should destroy America, take over? If you're like me, the answer is a big fat zero. But these people, many of them, not all of them, these people have been doing this since I was born. They've figured it out. If you want fundamental transformation, you have to reverse the roles. You see, what they've done is they've radicalized the man. These people are in the center, but who's down here? They know that these people always lose because they experienced it. The crazy teabaggers in the streets. Why would a government continue to poke you and poke you and poke you and poke you? Why would they say these things? Why have these people said these things about good Americans? Because they need to separate these people from these people. Don't play into their script. They need you to become them. That's who they were in the 1960s, and they know how the game ends.